Good morning. Namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's take a moment to become present. Find a nice, comfortable seated position on a cushion or towel, block, whatever works, so that you can lengthen the back of your spine, the back of your neck, to open up your chest, to open up your diaphragm, and to open up your heart. Gently close your eyes and soften your thoughts. Soften your eyes. Soften your shoulders. Soften your heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes now. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or phrase to have with you on the mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention, let's look at the third Yama and its guideline of how to interact with the world. Asteya is Sanskrit for non-stealing. We all know what stealing is. It's taking something that is that does not necessarily belong to you. Stealing often comes from a feeling of lacking. The Yama Asteya, non-stealing, is the opposite. Its intention is to come from a feeling of abundance, that we are enough. By living our life through the filter of Asteya, we can uncover the abundance that exists in our lives and break that cycle of looking at what we lack. The ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu says, "Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you." So for this morning's pranayama, I'd like for us to try the pranayama called Antara Kumbhaka. Antara is on the inhale, Kumbhaka means breath retention. So we're going to inhale and then retain our breath, just kind of pause at the top on the inhale and have that give us a feeling of fullness in our lungs, our chest, and our heart. So using a natural breath, you don't necessarily have to do the dirja from the stomach on up, but you can do that as well. But at very minimum, with your natural breath, just breathe in. And when you get to the point where you're full, your lungs are full, your chest is full, and your heart is full, just pause a few moments and then gently exhale. So let's do that for a few moments. Really focus on that feeling of fullness. You may return to your natural breath. For this morning's meditation, you can practice that breath some more. Maybe put a mantra with it about I am enough, I am enough. Or for the mudra, it's called Pushpaputa. There we go. Pushpaputa. And Pushpaputa Mudra, it means handful of flowers. And to do the Pushpaputa Mudra, you would open your palms up to the sky, bringing your two pinkies together and creating kind of a bowl shape to receive that abundance. And it makes one receptive and accepting of gratitude, accepting with gratitude what the universe has to offer. You can use the Pushpaputa, there we go, mudra, and or the Antara Kumbhaka breath. And I will meet you in a moment on the mat. You may open your eyes now. We'll start our asana practice today, seated in a nice, comfortable, basic seated pose. And we're going to do a few head nods and turns just to loosen up from our head down to our neck and then to our shoulders and some shoulder shrugs. So let's start by just taking our eyes and bringing them down to the mat. And then perhaps if you can, just bring them to your navel. And then bringing them forward and up to a diagonal to look at the top of a tree. And then back down to the mat or to your navel, depending how much you want to curl your spine, and then slowly back up, 45-degree angle, looking at the top of the tree. Exhaling, bringing your eyesight down. Inhale, bringing your eyesight up. Exhale, bringing your eyesight down. And then come back to your natural position. And then we'll exhale, turning our head to look to the left. Inhale, back to center. Exhale over to the right. Inhale, back to center. Exhale over to the left. Inhale, back to center. Exhale over to the right. Exhale, back to center. And one last time to the left. Exhale to the left. Inhale, back to center. And then exhale to the right. And inhale back to center. And we'll do a few shoulder shrugs. So inhaling, bringing your shoulders up toward your ears. Exhaling, bring your shoulders down toward the mat. Making a nice round, easy circle. The idea is to relax, unwind as opposed to wind up. Inhale up, exhale down. And then reverse direction anytime that you're ready. Again, inhale, raising your shoulders up toward your ears. Exhale, raising your shoulders down toward the mat. And then come back to your natural seated position. And taking your fingertips to the mat, we'll do some sun breaths. So inhale, bring your hands up overhead. Big deep breath. Exhale, bring your hands back down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. And while we're at the top, let's twist to the left and bring our hands down. Right hand goes on your left knee, left hand behind you, behind your hips. And then we're going to do a flow. So sweep our hands up, over, and twist over to the right and bring our hands down. Left hand lands on your right knee, right hand right behind your hips. And then inhale, sweep up again. Turn to the left, bring both hands down. And then we're going to bring our left knee up. So the knee's pointing to the sky. Wrap our arm around our knee with our left hand still behind our hips. We're going to twist and turn our head to look over our left shoulder. And then bring our knee back down. We'll continue our flow. And we'll lift our arms up on a big inhale, sweep them over, exhale over to the right. Inhale, sweep up. Turning over toward the left. Exhale, bring your hands down. Sweep our hands up with a big inhale. And exhale, bring our hands down. Left hand lands on your right knee. We're going to bring that right knee up so it's pointing up to the sky. Wrap our left arm around it, keeping our right fingertips behind our hips. We're going to turn and look over our right shoulder. And then turn back, put your right knee back down. We'll do that two more times, one on each side. So inhale, sweeping up, twisting to the left, exhale, sweeping down. Inhale, sweeping up. Turning to the right, exhale, sweeping down. Inhale, sweeping up. Turning to the left, exhale, sweep down. Land your hand on your knee, right hand on your left knee, left hand behind your hips. Bring your left knee up rather. Wrap your right arm around your left knee and turn your head to the left. Gaze over your left shoulder. Then bring your knee back down. Continue our flow. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, sweep down. Inhale, sweep up. And over to the left. Exhale, sweep down. Inhale, sweep up. Turning over to the right. Exhale, sweep down. Left hand lands on the right knee. Right hand behind your hips. We'll bring our right knee up toward the sky. Wrap our left arm around our knee and gently turn your head over your right shoulder. And then bring yourself back and put your knee back down. We're going to come up into tabletop position. So bring yourself up onto your hands and knees. Your fingers are spaced wide apart, index finger pointing up toward the top of the mat. Wrists are right below the shoulders, knees right below the hips. Navel's tucked to the spine, creating a nice flat back. Your weight's nicely distributed in your hands and your knees. Just kind of rock till you feel that nice equilibrium. And I'm going to do some cat cows. So inhaling, or actually exhaling. We're going to round our back, dropping our head and our tailbone down. Feel that nice stretch. And then inhale, lifting our head and our tailbone up, sending our gaze straight ahead for cow. Exhale, rounding our back, tucking our head and tailbone down. Feeling that nice stretch along our spine and ribs. Inhale, lift our head and tailbone up. Send your gaze out ahead of you. Exhale, rounding the back, dropping the head and tailbone down. Deep exhales and deep inhales. And you can continue at your own pace, just kind of tuning into how that stretch feels today. This is almost, with it being this warm today, it's almost like a Bikram style yoga. Actually, it's not that bad. And then let's meet in the middle, back to tabletop. Bring your knees together and have your weight evenly distributed in your hands. We're going to extend our right leg to the back of the mat. And we're going to just do some leg lifts. So we're going to, again, make sure that you feel that your hands are distributing your weight equally. We're going to lift the right leg up to hip height and then exhale, bring it back down to the mat. Inhale, lift the leg up, and exhale, bring the leg back down. Inhale up, exhale 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 back down. And then bring the knees back together. We'll do that on the other side. So extend your left leg to the bottom of the mat. Again, feel that equal distribution of weight in your hands. Then inhale, lift the leg up. Exhale, bring it back down. You can point your toe or flex your feet, whatever works for you. Maybe try doing both and see how that feels in your leg and in your hip. Inhale up, exhale down, inhale up, exhale down, inhale up, exhale down, inhale up, exhale down. And bring your knees back together. We'll bring our hips down toward our ankles, coming into child's pose, and really stretch those hands out to the top of the mat. Feel the stretch in your upper arms, along your spine. Bringing your tailbone as close to your heels as you can. And inhale, come back up to tabletop. Walk your hands back, and we're going to kneel or do the hero's pose. So our hips are sitting on our feet, and if that's uncomfortable, you may want to curl your toes under and sit on your heels. And if that's uncomfortable, you can always just bring your knees, your torso up, sitting on your knees. Actually, that might be the reverse in comfort. So this might be less comfortable than tucking your toes, which might be less comfortable than just sitting on your heels. So whichever works for you for comfort. We're going to bring our hands around back of our hips and interlace our fingers. We'll do some chest openers. So inhale, bringing our arms out, away from our hips. Exhale, bring our interlaced fingers over to our right hip or right waistline. Inhale, extend them out and back of you. Exhale, over to the left side. Inhale, extend them out and back. Exhale, over to the right side. Inhale, extend them out back. Exhale, over to the left. Inhale, out back. Exhale, over to the right. Inhale, out back. And then release your hands. Coming back to tabletop. Tuck our toes under if you haven't already, and we'll walk our hands back, coming into a squat. And then we're going to push down in the balls of our feet to come up to mountain pose. Our toes are lined up with the long edge of the mat, or square edge of the mat, straight edge of the mat. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. We're going to lift our toes up off the mat and spread our toes as far apart as possible. And then bring our toes down into the mat and lift our heels up. And then bring our heels back down and really feel rooted into our mat and to the earth. Easy to do today. For mountain pose, our legs are nice and straight and strong with a gentle bend in our knees. Navel's tucked to our spine to create a nice long back of our spine and back of our neck. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Chin is slightly tucked toward your chest. Crown of your head is reaching up to the sky. I'm going to take a nice deep breath. Inhale, sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. And exhale, bending our knees, bringing our hands down to the mat. And just check in for a moment. See how you are. If there's any tension, any stiffness. And then we'll bring our hands up to our shins, flattening out our back for half forward fold, sending our gaze down. And then exhale, dropping the crown of our head down toward the mat. And sweep our hands from the mat all the way up overhead and come up onto your tippy toes. And I actually can create a real palm tree today with this nice balmy air that's here. So just take your time and sweep your palm tree around. Pretend you're in the tropics. And then bring your heels down, bring your arms back down. Bend your knees, bringing your hands all the way to the mat. Inhale, half forward fold, bringing your hands to your shins, flattening out your back. Just stretching out that spine nice and long. And then sending the crown of your head down toward the mat. Sweep your hands all the way up, bringing your palms together overhead. We'll do a few side stretches. So bring your right hand down to your right thigh and slide your right hand down toward your right knee, creating a nice crescent shape. Then inhale, bringing your right hand back up. And then dropping your left hand to your left thigh, sending it down toward your knee, creating a nice crescent shape on the other side. Inhale, bring both hands up overhead. Drop your right hand to your right thigh, sliding it down toward your knee. Inhale, bringing that right hand back up and dropping the left hand down and sliding that toward your knee. And then inhale, come back up. Deep exhale, bringing your hands back down to the mat, bending your knees to support your lower back. Inhale, bring your hands to your shins, flatten out your back, nice long spine, sending your gaze down. And then send your crown of your head down on the exhale. Crown of your head, reaching toward the mat. And inhale, sweeping our hands all the way up overhead again. Bring your palms together, the palms to heart center. And we'll do a few chair positions. So bring your feet about hip width apart. It could be a little closer. And then we're going to lower our hips down toward the mat. And while you do that, you can send your arms back so that they're like a bird wings in back of you. And then we're going to inhale, bring our palms together, straighten out our legs, come back up to mountain pose with Antara Mudra. And then we're going to lower our hips again down toward the mat, sending our hands back. See if you can lower down a little bit, get your Tops of your thighs may be parallel to the mat. Then inhale, come back up, bringing your palms together. And one last time, send your hands down and back as you lower your hips toward your ankles into chair pose. And then inhale, come back up. Sweep our hands up overhead. Big inhale, big exhale, bring them back down to the mat. Inhale, half forward fold, straightening out our back. Exhale, dropping the crown of our head down toward the mat. And inhale, sweeping our hands from the mat all the way up to the sky. Bring your palms together, palms to heart center, then palms to the back of the hips. And have your feet about hip width apart. Fingertips are pointing down, so your hands are on the back of your hips. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Chin is tucked toward your chest. And we'll just drop our shoulders back for supported back bend. And continue your breath here. Just tune in to how deep or shallow it is and adjust accordingly. You want a nice, even inhale and exhale. And then inhale, come back up to a mountain pose. We're going to sweep our hands up and over. And exhale, bringing our hands all the way down to the mat, bending our knees. We're going to send our feet back to downward dog. So we'll just pedal out here for a few moments. Fingertips are spread wide apart, index fingers pointing to the top of the mat. Arms are nice and straight. Chest is reaching toward your thighs, elevating your hips up toward the sky. Knees are bent. And just take a few deep breaths here. Okay, on the next inhale, we're going to bring our right knee to our right elbow, pushing off with our left toes. So inhale, bring it to the right elbow, and then back again for downward dog. Pedal out. Inhale, bring that right knee again to the right elbow, pushing off with your left toes. And then back to downward dog, pedal out. And the third one, we're going to bring our right foot between our hands into runner's lunge. So inhale, bring your right foot all the way up. Give it an assist if it needs it, so that your right foot is framed between your hands. Coming into runner's lunge. And then we're going to bring our left knee down to the mat, the left top of our foot down to the mat. And we're going to do some half monkeys, but instead of riding our thigh down, we're going to walk our fingertips back so that we stay apart from our thigh, straightening out our right leg. And then walk our fingertips back up, come into low lunge again. And then walk our fingertips back, straightening out our right leg, creating space between our chest and our knee. And then walk our hands back into low lunge. And then one last time, walk your hands back, straightening out your right leg. And then walk your hands back. Tuck your left toes under, come up to runner's lunge. And then bring your right foot to the back of the mat, come into plank position. So your wrists are right below your shoulders. Heels are pushing to the back of the mat, navel's tucked in, creating a elevated hip. And then we're going to lower to the mat, either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, keeping your elbows tucked to your sides. And then we're going to bring our hands alongside our legs with the palms facing up. Chin is on the mat, resting gently on the mat. We'll do some half lotus and full lotus. So inhale, lift the right leg up, and exhale back down. Inhale, lift the left leg up. Exhale, bring that back down. Inhale, lift both legs and both arms up. So you're flying through the air, and then bring both back down. And take your fingertips, bring them right below your shoulders. We'll gently lift our chin and chest up to cobra. And then lower our chest and chin back down. And then we're going to push into up dog. So we're going to fully extend our arms at the top. So inhale, lifting our chest and chin up, pushing all the way to extend fully in our arms. Tops of our feet are on the mat. And then bring your knees to the mat and walk your hands back, bringing your hips down toward your ankles into child's pose. And then come back up to tabletop. Tuck your toes under, elevate your hips back up to downward dog. And we'll walk your dog out a little bit here. So again, fingertips are spread apart. Arms are straight. Chest is reaching toward your thigh, elevating your hips toward the sky. Knees are bent, and you can be pedaling. And inhale, we're going to lift our left knee, bringing it to the left elbow, pushing off with our right toes. And then back to downward dog. And pedal out. And then inhale, lift our left leg again, bring it to the left elbow, pushing off with our right toes. And then back again to downward dog. And the third one, we're going to bring our left foot up between our hands into runner's lunge. So inhale, lift it up, guide it to the front so that your hands are framing the foot and you're in runner's lunge. And then we'll bring our right knee to the mat, the top of our right foot to the mat. And we'll walk our fingertips back toward the back of the mat while we straighten out our left leg. And then walk our fingertips to the front, coming back into low lunge. Walk them back again, straightening out your leg. You can keep your toes toward the mat or lift your toes up, flexing them toward the sky, whichever works for you. Make it your own. Back to low lunge. And then one last walk back, straightening out our leg. And then walking our fingertips back up. We'll come back into runner's lunge by tucking our back toes under. And then bringing our left foot to the back of the mat, coming into plank. Gently lower to the mat, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, keeping our elbows tucked to the side. Bringing our arms alongside our thighs, our waist. Chins gently resting on the mat. Palms are up. And we'll do a half lotus and full lotus here. So inhale, lift your right leg up. And exhale, bringing it back down. Inhale, lift your left leg up. Bringing it back down. Inhale, lift both legs up and both arms up. Feel that connection of your pelvic bones with the mat. And then bring both hands and legs back down. Bring our fingertips right below our shoulders. So lift our chin and chest up, coming into cobra, keeping our elbows tucked to the side. And then lower back down to the mat. And this time we're going to extend our arms fully, being on the tops of our feet for upward dog. So inhale, lift our chin, our chest, extend our arms fully, resting on the tops of our feet. And bring our knees down to the mat and send our hips back toward our ankles, coming into child's pose. Coming back up to tabletop. Tuck our toes under, coming back up into downward dog. And just walk our dog here for a moment. And then we're going to walk our feet up to our hands slowly, coming into forward fold. And then sweep our hands from the mat all the way up overhead. Palms come to center. Palms come together and then palms come to center for Anjali Mudra. And then we sweep our arms up again. Big inhale. And exhale, bringing our palms all the way back down to the mat. We're going to send our right foot back, coming into runner's lunge. Placing our right hand, pressing our left hand down into the mat. We're going to sweep our, no, wait a minute, it's the other way. I don't know why I'm mixing that up this morning, but place our right hand down, left foot's in front. Sweep our left hand all the way up into a twist. And then bring our left hand back down. And then we're going to come into a high lunge. So you can do that in 2 stages. Bring your hands to your knees. And then all the way up to a high lunge. Your knees still over your ankle. Arms are up. If you feel a little tippy, you can pivot your back foot down, come into warrior 1. Bring your hands all the way back down to the mat. We're going to bring our right foot up to meet our left foot, coming into forward fold. Sweep our hands up into mountain pose. Hands come together. Palms come to heart center. And we're going to do a few chair and then extending our leg in back of us. So we're going to bring our hands, or keeping our hands together at heart center. We're going to bend our knees so our hips come down toward the mat. Come up, back up, and then extend our right foot back. And then bring it back to center. Come down into chair. Come back up. Extend our left foot back. Bring that back to center. Back down, exhale to chair. Inhale up to mountain. Extending your right foot back so your toes are touching on the mat. Bring that back to center. Exhale, bringing your hips down into chair. Inhale back up. Send your left foot back and bring that back to center. One last time, down to chair. Inhale back up. And then we're going to bring our right foot back. Bring our arms back so that we're a bird, like this crow that is either talking to me or laughing at me, not sure which. Then we're going to bend our knee, our left knee, and lift our right foot off. And you can tilt your body to whichever position you want. So you're pushing off with your left leg, your right leg is up in the air. It can be low to the ground, or if you want, you can extend it to hip height, keeping your arms balancing you. And then come back down. So we'll do that once again for the other side. So inhale, sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Exhale, bringing our hands back down to the mat. We extend our left foot to the back of the mat. And we're going to take our left hand, placing it on the mat, sweeping our right hand all the way up to the sky. Runner's lunge with a twist. And then bring your right hand back down. We're going to come into high lunge. So you can do again at 2 stages, bringing your hands up to your knee and then extending your arms all the way up to the sky, creating a little bit of a back bend. Or on the balls of your toes, or if that's a little wobbly, you can pivot your foot down for warrior one. And then bring your hands all the way back down to the mat. Bring your left foot up to meet your right foot, coming into forward fold. And sweep your hands from the mat all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Then palms come to heart center. And we'll do a few more of our chair poses. Your feet can be either together or hip width apart or any distance in between that. Whatever's comfortable for you. We'll lower our hips down toward our ankles, coming into chair pose. And then inhale, lifting our hands up. Extending our right foot back. And then bringing your right foot back to center. Exhale, coming into child's pose, chair pose. Then inhale, come back up. Extend your left foot back. And then bring that left foot back to center. Back to chair pose. Exhale, down. Inhale, up. Extend your right foot. And then bring your right foot back to center. Exhale, down to chair pose. Inhale, back up. Extend your left foot back. And then back to center. One more time, chair pose, coming down. Inhale, come back up. Sending your right foot back. And right foot comes back to center. And then take one more chair pose. I have to land on with my left foot back. Inhale, back up. Send your left foot back and keep it there. We'll send our arms back to our bird wings. Bending our right knee, we're going to lift our left leg up and come into a flying bird, whichever angle works for you. So it could be low, or if you want to lift your leg all the way up to hips height and just soar through the air. And then bring your left foot back down. Bring our pinky toes out to the edges of the mat, tucking our heels in at a 45-degree angle. Bring our hands to our heart center and lower our hips, coming into a wide-legged squat. All the way down, resting the backs of our elbows against the inner part of our knees. And if you'd like a little more stretch, send your prayer pose, your Anjali Mudra, hands down toward the mat, increasing that space between your knees. And then bring your hips down to the mat and we'll roll back onto the mat, either knees, chest, or knees, chest. I got all my cues mixed up this morning. So you can either tuck your hands under your knees and roll back quickly, express method, or just send your hands out in front of you and slowly roll back to the mat, one vertebrae at a time. Bring your knees up to your chest. Give them a nice gentle hug and rock your lower back against the mat. Give a nice lower back massage. And then make circles with your toes. So draw nice big circles using your big toes as the pointer. Nice lower back massage as well. And then reverse the direction of the circle. And then bring your knees toward your chest, give them a nice hug. And then we're going to extend the soles of our feet up to the sky and grab the outer edge of our feet and come into happy baby. You may be able to grab onto your shins or your ankles, whatever works for you. Sending the soles of your feet up to the sky for happy baby. And then bring your knees back together again. Send your feet down to the mat and walk your feet out so that the outer edge of your foot is in line with the outer edge of the mat. The knees are can come and rest against one another. Bring your arms down at a 45-degree angle away from your torso and with your palms up. We're going to do some windshield wipers. So we're going to take both knees and bring them down to the right side of the mat. Then inhale, bring them back up, and exhale, bring them to the left side of the mat. And this is intended to be a flow. So you can inhale, bring them back up, exhale to the right, inhale, back up, exhale to the left, Inhale back up. Exhale to the right. Inhale back up. Exhale to the left. Inhale back up. Exhale to the right. Just keep going at your own pace here for a few moments. And on the last inhale, bringing your knees back to center. Bring your knees back to your chest. Give them a nice hug. Walk our hands down, coming into happy baby pose again. So hands on the, grabbing the outer edge of your feet. Soles are pointed up to the sky. Try to bring the lower part of your back down toward the mat. And then bring your knees back together, nice gentle hug, and then extend them all the way to the bottom of the mat and prepare for Shavasana. You bring your heels to each corner of the mat. Let your feet flop open. And bring your arms at 45-degree angles away from your torso, the palms up. Feel your shoulder blades get nice and snug into the mat. And just take some deep inhales and deep exhales. On the exhale, just release deeper and deeper into the mat. Let your shoulders relax. Place a gentle smile upon your lips. Let the nutrients of today's practice soak deep within you. For today's poem, I think it's a good example of how to go from a feeling of lack to a feeling of abundance. It's called I Worried by Mary Oliver. I worried a lot. Will the garden grow? Will the rivers flow in the right direction? Will the earth turn as it was taught? And if not, how shall I correct it? Was I right? Was I wrong? Will I be forgiven? Can I do better? Will I ever be able to sing? Even the sparrows can do it, and I am, well, hopeless. Is my eyesight fading, or am I just imagining it? Am I going to get rheumatism, lockjaw, dementia? Finally, I saw that worrying had come to nothing and gave it up, and took my old body and went out into the morning and sang.